I've had my WC renovated and I sent the photos to some people, and a friend of mine asked me about this. Now in Japan, most toilets have a control panel like this. Obviously they're not all identical. I chose the most basic, believe it or not. You wouldn't think that by looking at it, but I actually chose the cheapest option because I don't think I'm ever going to use even all of these functions on the cheapest option. So he asked me about the buttons, and I thought, well, yeah, if you don't live in Japan and you've never been to Japan, you probably are unfamiliar with such things. So I'll talk you through it. And that's the toilet there. Difficult to get a good shot because I'm in the WC. It's quite small in here. But let's go back to this control panel. So, well, we'll start with the top. We've got the flush buttons on the top. And if I can point to them, we've got big flush, small flush, and eco flush. Now, you'll have to use your imagination. I think it's pretty obvious what big flush and small flush are for. Eco flush is even smaller than small flush, and well, I suppose if you think you can get away with flushing away with whatever you've done with a tiny little flush, then I suppose that's the purpose. I don't know what the official reason is for eco flush. I have tried it and it does seem to flush away well, you know, whatever's necessary. And I suppose another thing you could do is maybe when you've cleaned it, perhaps use eco flush. I don't know. Right, well, this is simply the off button. This switches it off. These buttons here control the washlet. That is the bidet function, which is known usually as washlet. The washlet, or what we might call a bidet, is built in to the toilet. So here, behind this panel, this small panel here, there is a nozzle that comes out and it hoses your backside with water, hoses your underparts with water. I don't know, whatever word you want to use. Now I can't demonstrate that because it will squirt water everywhere. But what I can do is I can show you that if I press this button here is, it says Nozzle Cleaning. So if I press that, there you go. So that is, it comes out like that so we can clean it. That's the only reason why it does that. That's the reason why we do that. So if I press that again, there it is. It goes back into its little hole. And by the way, there's a socket there, so it's plugged into the mains there. And obviously that metallic part is just the water feed for the toilet cistern. That's the tank, that is. And there are some backup switches on there. There's the there's an on switch, and actually that isn't a backup switch. The only backup switch, sorry, I'll take that back. The only backup switch is the flush button there. I can flush it by pressing that. I suppose if the batteries, this is battery power, it's got 2 AA batteries in it, and if the batteries run out, or for some reason you've got a loss of power on the control unit, then you can press this flush button on here. I'm not sure what this is for, by the way. Not sure what that's for. I haven't read the instruction book yet. My Japanese is good enough to understand how to use this, but frankly, I don't really feel I want to challenge the instruction book yet. So this is telling us that it's on. This is telling us that the toilet seat is being heated, and the toilet seat heat, which is there, if I press it, it tells me it's on level 1. I've got 3 options. That's level 1, level 2, level 3, back down to level 2, back down to level 1, and off. So there you can see the green LED above the toilet seat icon is off now. So if I want the toilet seat heater on, right, that's on level 1, you can see it's back on. So that's for the toilet seat heater. We've got another button here, which is for the water temperature. So there it is, set at level 1. It's off. Level 1, level 2, level 3. I say level 1, level 2, level 3. They actually say low and high, the Japanese characters. That's low and that's high. So it's on high heat, medium, low. Low heat for the water temperature that comes out of that nozzle I showed you to wash your underparts. So yeah, for me, the lowest setting is absolutely fine. Don't need it any warmer than that. That tells you when the batteries are low in this control unit. What else can I tell you? We've got this here, which is an interesting one. This says power datsu nioi. So basically it's some kind of function that deals with smells. So it's a kind of deodorizer, that's what I should say. So power deodorizer, that's what that says. If you press that, that's on and off, by the way, the on and off. Power deodorizer. Again, I suppose leave that to your imagination. This here is the water pressure. And as I said, these buttons are for the washlet, the bidet, and this, as you can see, is less power and more power. So currently it's on level 2, level 1. You can't have it off because the whole point is that it's a washlet. So it's always, you know, if you don't want to use it, of course, then that's off essentially, isn't it? So obviously whenever you use it, it's got to be on at least 1. So yeah, that's the water pressure. This here is the nozzle position. So you can adjust that nozzle. As I showed you before, if I just press that cleaning, that's to release the nozzle when you're not sitting on it. Now I should say that when you're sitting on it, the toilet detects the pressure from our body weight. So when we sit on it, it then can release the nozzle and squirt water onto the underneath of our body. So if there is no pressure on this toilet seat, if you press the button, nothing's going to happen in theory. I've not tested it, let's try it. So there you go, nothing will happen. You need to be sitting on it for something to happen. Now I'm not going to demonstrate that, because if I do apply pressure to this seat and press one of those buttons, it's going to, the nozzle will come out and squirt water everywhere, and I don't want that to happen, obviously. So you just have to trust me on that. And these little images perhaps are kind of intuitive. So this one is for, well, it basically says bottom, your backside, whatever you want to call it. And it squirts a more concentrated spray of water. It's actually could be quite painful. I have in some cases, not this toilet because I'm used to it now. When I first started using this kind of toilet, I did sometimes find that it was too powerful. It did hurt me, and it does. It can be unpleasant. So this one is. Well, by the way, I should say, if you want to know what else this is, Washlet. It's a polite way of saying your bottom. This one says Yawalaka. It's kind of like gentle wash of your bottom, so less powerful. Now, just to remind you, there are power settings here, so you can fine tune it. But this spray is less concentrated. It's kind of like more like a shower kind of feeling. This one is bidet, and as you can see, it's given the female image there. So this is for designed for women to, well, obviously for women's body parts, which are different to men's. So that means that the water comes out slightly further forward. So if I press this again so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see there are 3 holes. And I'm assuming, and I haven't checked this, I'm assuming those 3 holes, let's put that back in. I'm assuming those 3 holes correspond with these 3 functions. Right. What else have we got? I think I've covered everything, right? Yeah, I think I've, yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, sorry, I haven't told you about these. Well, I was slightly confused by these because these are eco settings or timer settings, power saving settings. And I can't quite figure out what I need to do. I mean, as you can see, it's got, well, this is timer and it says 6 and 9. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how I'm supposed to use it. It does have a button there that says on, like I said, which is like you let the machine decide for itself. You just leave it to its own devices as to when it should go into power save mode. And this is just a settings button to set the power saving auto. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to use these, but it's some kind of, as I said, some kind of power saving settings. I haven't bothered using those. If I should use them, I need to get maybe somebody to help me understand the instruction booklet, because the manual is a bit of a challenge for my Japanese, but I can understand this control basically. I understand what the words say, luckily. So there we are. That is the control panel, and well, this does lift off. There we are. So it's you've got the bracket mounted on the wall there, and in here there are 2 AA batteries. And as I said, the toilet seat is heated. That's pretty standard in Japan. of course I can switch that off because I don't need it. I've personally never felt the need for a heated toilet seat, but most Japanese, especially Japanese women, seem to insist on it. So there we are. That is my toilet, and as I said, just to recap, well, you can see there, that blanked off section there is probably where a more expensive model has more buttons. Because what I can tell you is some toilets that I've used, they definitely have more functions. And one function that I have seen, for example, is a dryer setting. So once you've washed your bottom and you've stopped washing, there is another button you can press to blast your bottom with warm air to dry it. I haven't gone for the more expensive option. I've just gone for the cheapest option. So there we are. That's my WC and toilet control. I should say this is nothing new, by the way. This is no great high-tech thing. Well, I suppose it is high-tech, but it isn't the latest technology. I first came to Japan in 2003, and back then I was already it was the first time that I used such a toilet with a control panel. And I remember in 2003 the toilet I used had a control panel even more complicated than that. But yeah, there we are. But some toilets, they don't have a wall mounted control panel. They actually have it built into the side of the toilet, or whichever side. But I can't remember, but the plumber that I used, the local plumber, recommended I use one that's wall mounted, and I don't remember the reason now. But anyway, there we are. If you've got any questions, please ask them in the comments below.